The special meeting for Monday, July 23rd, 2012 is now called to order. Our intent tonight is to take input from interested candidates to fill the vacant at-large city commission process. Our first interested candidate is Mr. Bill Larson. Bill, do you want to do there?
We're not here.
Then you can be comfy. The city manager will pose a series of questions.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
My pleasure. Thank you for your interest.
Mr. Larson, thank you for coming and participating in tonight's interview process. To begin with, would you please provide the City Commission with some information about your background that you believe is pertinent or would help you be a City Commissioner?
Sure. I've been a city commissioner twice, 1980 to 1984, 2002 to 2006. I was a public employee from 1969 to 1984. I worked in the private sector as a car salesman, appraiser, and buyer for 20 years. Also in the private sector, I started and developed my own restaurant, had it for 3 years and sold it. And I ran a nonprofit for the Knights of Columbus for 3 years, the bar and the rental hall. I've served on the following committees: the Public Works Committee, the Golf Course Committee, the Public Relations Committee, the Community Relations Committee, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Planning Commission, and 2 ad hoc committees during both my terms to consider moving the farmers market downtown. As far as education, while I was at the Road Commission, I studied traffic engineering at Michigan State. I was the first Michigan person to pass the course on the new soil erosion and sedimentation act. That was at Grand Valley University. And before you had to purchase property at market value by eminent domain, I was the property purchaser for the Muskegon County Road Commission, and I took real estate classes for that.
Mr. Larson, tell the City Commission, tell the City Commission why you would like to be a City Commissioner.
Well, I enjoyed the time that I was on the City Commission. It was immensely gratifying. I'm a product of the city. While I was employed at the Road Commission, I saw things that I didn't think were proper, so I ran for office to see if a person could make a difference in the way things were handled, and that happened. I love the city. I say that very unabashedly. I wear it on my sleeve, I promote it, and the minute I knew the mayor was going to resign before any of you did. And in my mind, I had already said if they could use my services to have a fluid transition for whoever was the mayor, I put my name in, and I knew at that time, even if Commissioner Gowron was appointed mayor, his seat would be open. So it was with that. It's nothing that I need to do. I don't need it for my ego. I've done it. I've been the vice mayor, and again, I say it's just my willingness, my desire to serve the city of Muskegon.
Thank you. What do you believe should be the priorities of the City of Muskegon?
Well, I'm torn in 2 ways. You folks have started the goals and objectives process. That was one of my big things to get established so staff can make the priorities of what the City Commission desires them to do. So I would adopt whatever goals and objectives that you adopted. I mean, there are hot buttons. Obviously, Sappy Paper is one. If and when you decide to move the market is another. I've been through that 2 times, and that's a hot button. And when you do it, you're going to need to move fast and gird your loins, because they'll be coming at you from every direction. In regards to Sappy, I sat with you, Brian, and and Commissioner Gowron and Spataro when I thought we had worked out a contingency plan for that site, but apparently we haven't. I would be in negotiation right now through the city, through the chamber, through Community Foundation, through the county or through the state in trying to acquire that property from Mr. Melcher.
Maybe you hit on it a little bit, but you talked about a couple priorities, and you talked a little bit about what you would do, but tell us what you think would be the best way to accomplish the priorities of the city.
Well, the best way is through consensus and focus from the commission through the manager to the employees to, that's where their focus needs to be. If you have, and I know you have limited employees, but if you have employees that have their own agendas or are not buying into what you've established, then you need to look at it. But obviously, it's not an I thing; it's a we thing, and it's getting reports on the process of it. And again, I don't work at the present time. I have plenty of time to spend with it. I can come and bother you like I used to.
Mr. Larson, what types of community involvement have you participated in that would be useful for you in the position of the city commission?
Well, in athletics, I coach my son at Lakeside Football Club. I coach softball teams, football teams in Muskegon Rec for years. I volunteered to serve on committees. I keep my hand in people's campaigns that I support, and I stand ready to serve.
So now it's time for following questions about the city commission.
I have one question that is interesting to me because I have some feelings about. What are your thoughts about the development of Pure Marquette Park? You put that down as an item.
I think it's solely lacking. I think for a long time, the West End has had control of, somewhat of a control of the city commission in what would or could happen. I don't see any reason that we couldn't develop the inner part of Pure Marquette Park. I don't know why we haven't. I'm all for anybody that wants to invest the money, whether that be a first-class trailer park or a first-end RV park. I mean, I go to Fort Myers Beach, which is in the winter, which is about as nice a place as you can go, and they have big RV things right on the beach. I mean, they walk out from the RV park and they're on the beach, and I'm sure they're paying a few bucks to do that. But I mean, I was born in the city, and I drove around it today. I look at it and I wonder why something hasn't happened.
Okay, Larson, the downtown area. I get a lot of questions about the development of downtown. As a commissioner, past vice mayor, with your experience, where would you focus on in your vision for downtown? That's a
Well, I'm kind of glad you asked that, because one thing I wrote down, the mayor and I were in Farmington Hills the day that they called and said we had acquired the parking lots back from Perlman. And we immediately took off and drove home so we could get home and cut the chains on. And I was involved, as was Brian and the mayor, with several meetings with the Downtown Development Committee, and they didn't always go very well. But I see it as mixed use. As a planning commissioner, we had some advice on different types of zoning, form-based zoning. I see it as a mixed use. I see it as youth-orientated. I think that's going to be the future if we can bring younger professional people or working class. Doesn't matter if you can pay the rent. Come down and have a place where they can congregate and where they can spend their money. I also believe that The Mart Dock is a totally underdeveloped area, but they own the property and they can do what they want. Anybody should know that anybody thinks that the city hasn't reached out over the years to the Mart Dock is absolutely wrong, because I've been in the meetings and I know what's transpired. But, yeah, a mixed use of the downtown, but it's going to be, who has the money to come in to develop, and then when they come here, then we need to guide them in a fashion that has some kind of continuity.
Mr. Starr?
I'll pass.
Go ahead.
I mean, he's heard everything I've had to say for years. And I will say this,
I'm sure.
although Larry and I may have had some contentious discussions in the past, I've learned from him. I hope he's learned from me, and I will tell you this, to the new people, when you get into those demolitions, you're going to feel sorry and feel bad for the people. There's only one way to go, and Larry has taught me this. You need to just take the hard line. They have remedies if they're going to be able to do it, because every time we went in and granted extra time, can't remember any of them that ever came to fruition. So that's part of one area that I've learned from Commissioner Spataro.
Mr. Larson, do you have any questions or a parting statement for the city commission?
Well, my first job was with the city of Muskegon. I was 12 years old. I had to go down to where Parmento O'Toole's building was Social Security, and get my first Social Security card. I took care of Sheldon Field. I made $15 every 2 weeks. It's the first time I got a paycheck. And at that time, on those small checks, they didn't take out any withholding. So I thought that was really neat until the next time I got a paycheck and they took all that stuff out. But that's what my life has been. I did have one referral to my first term. And it's poignant because Commissioner Hood and Commissioner German, Tom O'Toole, who was the city attorney, came to us. And that's why I say, instead of I, it was we. And he said, that one of the candidates won 4 precincts and still didn't get enough votes to be elected as city commissioner, because it usually was on the east end, businessmen, or the west end, Glenside, Bluffton, Lakeside, would get more votes. And that's when there was a Supreme Court ruling in Mississippi that said, this was not right. And at that time, we formulated the ward and at-large plan, and at that time, now we have 2 African-American commissioners. There was 2 of them when I served, and I had the pleasure to be on the city commission when we appointed the first African-American city commissioner, who was Dan Oglesby. So that always rings true to me, as that's why we work as a group, and back then I think we did the right thing. And other than that, I would be more than happy to serve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, Brian?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where you been? He's over there.
Oh, you might just sit by yourself. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
Good, good.
Mr. Mazade is going to be asking you a series of questions while we listen on.
Okay.
And,
Will do.
Hi, Mr. Carter.
Hello.
Thank you for participating in this process. I have a series of questions, as the mayor said, that I will ask and allow you to answer, and then at the end, the city commission will follow up with some questions. First of all, would you please provide the city commission with some information about your background that you think is pertinent to the position of city commissioner?
Well, I've been on several boards prior to being on the city commission. I was on Urban League, Habitat for Humanity. I was a city commissioner for 7 years, 8 years. And I have a little bit of finance background, I have a banking background for 16 years. So I think those traits are things that I think the city commission can use going forward.
And please tell the city commission why you'd like to be a city commissioner.
Well, I feel that due to the certain circumstances that just recently happened with the resignation of the mayor, I think with my current background, just coming off the commission, I think I'm kind of familiar with the course the city commission wants to take over the next year and a half. And I think I would add a little stability to the city commission. This is nothing on against the new commissioners, but they are new. So I think with my recent background, I think I'd add a little bit of stability to the commission, knowing where we were, where we're going, and kind of where the city wants to be in the next few years. And then at that point, at least till the term is done, then I would allow the citizens of Mesquite to decide what they want to do as far as the city commission and the direction they want to go.
Ms. Carter, what do you believe should be the priorities of the city of Mesquite?
Well, first and foremost, of course, is providing the basic necessities for the city: public safety, fire, police, infrastructure. I think that's a major factor as far as the city is concerned, because without the infrastructure, you can't attract businesses. Without business, you can't draw revenue. You can't grow the city, basically. And we all know that the city grows mainly from the businesses and the people that support the businesses in the city of Mesquite. Of course, everybody knows that one of my main goals is the youth. One of my focuses has always been the youth. So I think that's kind of where the city needs to go in the next few years.
And Mr. Carter, what do you think is the best way to accomplish those priorities?
Really cut and dry question. The current economic climate is going to determine a lot of which direction we go. What our job is to do, I feel, is to keep the city moving in a positive direction, utilizing the resources we have to attract the kind of businesses and the kind of citizens to the city of Mesquite. And that way we will accomplish the goals that we need to accomplish. That's the only way we're going to accomplish the goals we need to accomplish. For us to stay steadfast in that direction.
And Mr. Carter, what types of, and I think you touched on it already to some degree, but I want to give you another opportunity as well. What types of community involvement have you participated in?
Currently, I serve on the council, which is called the Mayor's Task Force. I have, again, served on the City Commission in the past. I've served on various boards prior to the City Commission, from the Urban League to Habitat for Humanity. So those are kind of my background as far as public service goes.
Any follow-up question, Commissioner Spataro?
No, I think Chris and I know each other. So.
Commissioner German?
Actually, the last candidate just questioned, Mr. Carter, about the vision for downtown development for Muskegon, and what would your vision be based on where you would like to see downtown go for as the development? Well, that's glad you asked. It's been kind of a pet project of mine, as everybody knows, for the last 5 or 6 years, is to find a way to bring the farmers market to the downtown city of Mesquite. Currently, we have no grocery store or any type of way for citizens who live downtown to get their vegetables and foods and meats and all those kind of necessities. I feel the farmers market would benefit the downtown in 2 ways. Number one, it would bring people who just come into town and use our roads and don't do nothing but go to the farmer's market and leave. Don't spend any money anywhere else. It'll get them downtown spending money at our other businesses downtown, okay? 2, it will provide, like I said, downtown with a local grocery store, because if it was moved downtown, of course, we would want to expand it to be able to have fresh meat. So that's an asset. I think if so that would benefit the citizens of downtown. Number 3, I guess there was one of them I should mention, is that the vacant property left from the, where if we were to move the farmers market, could be utilized for more housing. Currently now, the city of Muskegon we're okay, but we're getting to the point where we're running out of land for people who want to build in the city of Muskegon. We don't want to get to the point of desperation. So this will open a whole nother avenue of property. We've already started with the houses coming down where the farmers market is. We've already started kind of a projection of what that area could be like. So, I can see that being a future property, future area for developers to use that as a way to bring the youth back to the city of Muskegon. We have a huge exodus of young people out of the city of Muskegon. Maybe if we provided them more downtown housing, we have a chance of maintaining it.
Commissioner Ware? Commissioner Lipp? Commissioner Turnbull?
I have just one question, Mr. Carter. I don't know you as well as some of the others on the commission. I've watched you in action at commission meetings, and I was always impressed. I wonder, you chose not to run for a 3rd term. Was that because of some strict restraints that you wanted to not do that, or has that changed now that you want to make yourself available?
The reason I didn't run again is I feel that I'm not a politician, I'm not a career politician. I feel you have to have an infusion of different ideas every so often to any board, whether it be city commission, whether it be county commission, whether it be a board of directors for a company, anything. You have to have an infusion. I felt it was time for an infusion of some different ideas to the commission. So that's why I chose not to run again. The only reason I decided to come back is because of the recent turn of events, and I know we want to keep the city going in a certain direction. We want to they've started some things here in the city that I'm familiar with, and I want to at least see those to the end. After the 1.5 years, I don't think I'm officially completely done. But this unexpected turn of the mayor resigning kind of threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. So I thought to help the city to keep a little continuity with the board, I thought it was a good idea for me to come back and at least finish out this term. Thank you.
Mr. Carter, to conclude, do you have any parting questions or statements or comments that you'd like to the city commission?
No. One is that, if you decide to choose me, then I think I would add stability. But I think majority of you know me, know kind of the way I operate. And if you choose to, boy, this is deja vu. This is really deja vu. This is the 3rd time I've done this. If you choose to add me to the city commission, then I guarantee that I'll be dedicated and committed to moving the city forward.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Okay.
Ms. Ruby Clark? Ms. Clark? Nice to meet you home for dinner. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, how are you? How's everyone on the panel doing?
I'm fine.
Good.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
How do I look?
Excellent.
Okay. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
And you've seen part of the process as we went through this, so we will go through the same routine. But, make yourself comfortable, and remember, we're neighbors and friends.
Yes.
Hi, Ms. Clark. I'm Brian Mazzetta. I'm going to ask the questions. And first of all, I'd like to welcome you. And I'd like to start the process by asking you to give a little bit of background about yourself as you think it could relate to being the city commission.
Well, I'm Ruby Clark. I work in the community, or Marquette neighborhood community, and I'm president of Marquette Neighborhood Association. And I retired from the Muskegon County Sheriff Department about 31 years working there, and went back part-time. As a community and as myself, I think education is very important. And important in the community as well as in the home, as well as in any type of city environment. Education is very, very important. I think that as myself, getting the education that I have got in Muskegon, and I think that I really got me where I'm at now. I'm working back in the community in regards to putting more things in the community that I feel that I owe to the community in regards to helping the community to beautify itself and make sure it's safe for the families in the community itself. Working in the community, I think is really important.
Ms. Clark, could you please tell the commission why you'd like to be a city commissioner?
I would like to be a city commissioner to make sure that the community is flourishing. Because we have 14 neighborhood associations in the surrounding cities here. And I feel that the community of the neighborhood is flourishing, the city will flourish also. When that flourish meant go within the community, it branch out to the city itself. Everybody will be looking good inside the city and inside the community itself. I think we as people, we should be working with the neighborhood as well as the city itself. That way we can have potential in making our city and our neighborhood blossom.
Ms. Clark, what do you believe should be the priorities of the city of Muskegon?
The priority should be working with the neighborhood, working with the people in the neighborhood, making something productive for the people to have something to do, as well as in education, as well as entertainment, as some celebration. I think that the neighborhood should be working as a neighborhood as a whole, working together inside the community itself. Working in neighborhoods that gives us a productive step to see ourselves shine inside the community, shine inside the city itself, and have pride within ourselves to keep the neighborhood as a blossom for the neighborhood for itself in regards to being productive and making the city shine to the city itself.
What do you think would be the best way to go about accomplishing those priorities?
It would be that get everyone involved in the city and the neighborhood. So get everyone involved in regarding to letting them know that you can be a productive individual inside the city. You can accomplish what you need to accomplish inside the city. We have educational classes and programs in school, bigger college, community college. You have Muskegon public schools. You have all type of inside of a city itself to make that work. And you have the YMCA. You have different things inside of Muskegon to make work. We have beautiful beach shores, 26 miles of beaches. We have the ferry that goes over Wisconsin. We have a lot going on in Muskegon here. And we have put in a source and know what we have to do for it to make Muskegon to shine like it should be shining. It shines now, but it can shine brighter.
Ms. Clark, could you tell the city commission what type of community involvement that you have?
I have worked in the neighborhood for a neighborhood association for about 3 years, and I have worked also with those that are incarcerated to make sure they have the education when they get out of Muskegon College. Make sure they get their GED, make sure they get their high school diploma affiliated with the GED. Make sure that those who have need classes for international that they have those classes when they get out. Make sure the community is to look for individuals to make them look like citizens.
Follow-up questions from the city commissioners?
Commissioner Turnquist, any?
No.
Commissioner Hood?
Ms. Clark, you said that you believe the city should shine more than it is shining, that it is shining, but it should shine more. What do you feel in what direction it should take to accomplish?
Like Lake Shore, beautiful land out there. The lake itself, in regards to shining, we can offer more tourist attraction on the Lake Shore itself. We can also we can ask for more grants and maybe block grants for the city itself as the state and federal government for the grants that we need. In that way, be able to progress and do what we have to do, because it takes money to make things move to, and people is willing to do it.
Commissioner Marinville?
What specific things would you do? You've outlined overall what you feel is important, but what specific actions would you want the city to take?
Offer more jobs inside the city itself. I read about the wind, it's coming into the city, and they need funds for funding that. That would offer more jobs into the city too. We'd be one of the first ones to have that in Muskegon. Then that would create more jobs for Muskegon. The movies that they have out there in the valley, they plan on helping out too.
Commissioner German?
Hi, Mr. Clark. My question is, for downtown, and this is a question that I get asked all the time, your vision, or do you have a vision of what do you see if elected as a commissioner, what type of vision would you have for downtown development for the city of Muskegon?
Well, the city community college and Bigger College, they have a culinary school down there, and you can offer, Bigger College can, offer more training for those culinary that's going into the field of culinary arts, and also the facilities down there, Grand Valley down there too. It can be more productive in regards to having more buildings that affiliate with Grand Valley. I feel that education is very important. If you can put educational facilities down there that'll draw the people, and plus it's not just the people, they'll draw the young people from all over, not just the state of Michigan, but from all over the United States to come here to live here in Muskegon. Because I feel that, cost of living is much cheaper here in Muskegon than in Chicago, 1.4% cheaper. And I have traveled all over the United States. Colorado, it's much cheaper than Colorado, much cheaper than Texas. Because we offer the land, we offer the lakes, beautification, we have it all. We do, we really have it all. So we just gotta be productive and see that that we can present it inside the city itself.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tara?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to get a little bit back to how you envision reaching out to the neighborhoods to get them more involved. And I'll describe a situation that we dealt with not too long ago and ask you what you think probably was missed or could have been done better. As you know, the Smith Ryerson playfield was recently renovated a couple of years ago now. That was through a grant process. There were town hall meetings to set up what was going to be asked for in the grant. When the money was awarded, we had to, as part of that process, have additional public meeting. And that was published in the newspaper, was on the city website. The neighborhood association was notified, the local churches were notified, the stakeholders in the form of the athletic club and Port City Football and so on were notified. And everybody living within, I believe, 300 feet of the park also received notification. And yet, when we had the public meeting, non-residents outnumbered the residents by about 3 to 2. What could we do better to get people more involved or to reach out to people that obviously those traditional methods are not reaching?
Well, in neighborhood association, you know, the internet is very, we got Facebook, you can set up your own website. Marquette Neighborhood has its own Facebook. You can go on there and you can announce that what's going on in the neighborhood. Also, we have activity coordinator that's every 3 weeks we'll type out activity that's in the neighborhood. Plus, we have communication with individuals that maybe on Facebook, maybe on Marquette Facebook, in regards to letting them know. This communication. If those individuals don't communicate with the neighborhood, they won't know what's going on. So we try to make sure that the neighbors know what is going on. We also may have an announcement on the radio, local radio station, that you want to know what's going on. We also make sure there's maybe beverage, food and beverage down there for the neighbors come in and join in the discussion what's going to be going on in the neighborhood itself. We invite them to comment or write comments on the site itself, and we can also tell them, you know, what other activities may be going on in the future. It's communication and communication. That's what's important.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Before we end, I'd like to offer you an opportunity to ask the City Commission any questions you may have or make a statement before you part.
But I know we have a twin sister city in Japan. Do we ever get together with that twin city in Japan?
It's been a while.
Anything else that you'd like to say to the Commission?
No, but thank you for my application.
Thank you for your interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we actually have more than 10 minutes. So
Ms. Leanne Markowski. Good evening. You've seen portions of the drill, so. Okay.
Hi, is it Markowski or
Leah?
Pardon me?
Leah.
Okay, thank you. I'll be asking the questions you've seen that, so, and then at the end we'll give the Commission an opportunity to ask questions as well. So, to begin with, would you please provide the City Commission with some background information about yourself as it would relate to be in the City Commission?
Sure. For starters, I think the majority of you have not met me before, so I just want to introduce myself. I'm Leah Markowski, and I am not originally from Muskegon. I grew up in Metro Detroit, Oakland County, so I'm from the Ferndale Park area, which is a much different scenario and environment from Muskegon. So I've been in the county for almost 10 years, and I've lived in the city of Muskegon since 2004. My son attends school here, Muskegon Public School, and he has since he started. So I come from a different perspective than many of the other people who are requesting to be put on the commission. I've lived here long enough to know what I love about Muskegon, but I'm certainly not born and raised here, which provides a different perspective. I think I still view the city of Muskegon from a tourist's perspective most of the time, but at the same time, I prefer to be a young professional who'd like to make a home here, and so I'm looking for those opportunities that the commission is trying to make to encourage people to stay and make residents in the city. My background as far as employment and education is most of it revolved around customer service. I've worked in retail and hospitality. I've worked in real estate offices. The majority of the time it's been in administrative or clerical organization positions or in sales. And what that has allowed me to do is to view many different industries from the perspective of the front end, from how people see them when they come in the door and what they experience. And so I really feel that I bring to the table the viewpoint of someone coming in from the outside and wanting to put your best face forward.
Ms. McCarskey, would you please, I'm sorry, would you please tell the commission why you would like to be a city commissioner?
I had no intention of running for the commission until I found out about the opportunity through the mayor's resignation. And simply, I put my name in the hat because at the time, I hadn't heard a lot out there about many different people vying for the position. I did ask the clerk's office what they knew at the time, and well, 2 or 3 people. And I knew that there were previous commissioners who were putting their name in. And as someone who is trying to be a part of my community and trying to show my son and other residents who are coming in that you can participate in government, that you don't necessarily have to have a long government background in order to be part of your local government, that you can kind of jump right in and give it your best, because for the most part, things get done by the people who show up to do the job. And so I just wanted to let you know that I am here and available and I'm willing to do the work. And I may not have those same backgrounds, but I do bring certainly, my perspective, which is different, and dedication. And I'm very willing to learn anything that I don't know and to listen and cooperate and bring kind of some peace, hopefully, to the commission. I do not come to the commission with a specific viewpoint or a goal from my perspective. My goal is just to make the city the best place to live and work as it can be, to encourage other people to come here.
Thank you. What do you believe should be the priorities of the city next year?
I did notice that the commission has set out some goals already, and this is simply a 1.5-year term completing it. And so I don't intend to come in and make a new list of things that I think need to be done. I simply want to work with the folks that are already here and ensure that you can accomplish the goals you've already set. I do feel that the Sappy property is going to be a big thing for the city. I arrived in Muskegon just about the time that the mall was being demolished, so I don't have a view in my mind of what old Muskegon looks like. My husband was born and raised here, his family. Many of the people I've met have passion for the city long ago, but I come in from where it started now, and I think that neighborhood development and the Sappy property and a few of the other goals really are going to revolve around sustainable development, considering what we have now and what we really want in generations to come. Because, as I mentioned, I have a child who's young, so I'm not just looking for jobs that we might get in the next couple of years or businesses we might bring, but what we want our city to look like many years down the road. There are cities that have been around for hundreds of years, and we know what they are. And for the most part, the idea of what those cities are hasn't changed, because they have a common view of what they want to be viewed as a city. But nuts and bolts might change, the little pieces, but what they are viewed as is mostly the same.
And how would you say the city should go about accomplishing the priorities that you think are important?
Encouraging young people to stay has been something that you've heard from many who've been sitting here already. And what I would like to see happen is to encourage the young people who are already here to be invested in their city, to want to be on this board of commissioners, to want to participate in their own neighborhoods, in their own government, and to want to work in their own cities and see their own children raised here. And at the same time, instead of simply telling those folks what they need to work on, I think we need to encourage them and say, what would you like? What city do you want to live in 10 or 15 years? What activities do you like to do that the city hasn't even thought of? And I think in envisioning, as you work on your new master plan, we need to make sure that the youngest people are considered as to what they want to see their city look like.
What types of community involvement have you participated in?
I work at Catholic Charities West Michigan, so I see the community from the perspective of the child welfare system. And so in some ways I want to say that my job is actually community involvement, because we participate in encouraging encouraging families to grow and to be nurturing. Outside of work, I've worked with the Senior Area Sustainability Coalition for the past several years, really since it started. And I've attended many meetings and worked on many groups outside of that, especially with sustainable waste management, which would be to encourage people to make use of all of their resources and to look for new resources that they might not have thought of, to keep things within a cycle that is not degrading to their environment.
Thank you. All questions from the city commission? Commissioner Spataro?
Sure. I'll just be blunt. When I first ran for office, when I first got elected to office, I was 35 years old, and 13 years later, I'm still the youngest person on the city commission.
We'll be quiet.
I'm making a guess here that you're under 40. What do you think your perspective as a younger person brings to the table that clearly, as people who've been here older, more set, and so on, what do you think you can bring to the mix that we're missing now because of our age? And I'm serious about this because I do see that as a problem right now, is that we're all in our late 40s and older.
Well, I still feel that I can use the phrase young people, and it doesn't always apply to me. Okay, so there are younger people than I who need to be involved in the process. Certainly there's a whole group that is older than I, but I think it's simply a generational thing. For the most part in my life, I have often participated with those who are much older than I. So I started attending community college right out of high school at night. So I began to be educated with people who are older than me. So I have slightly an older viewpoint than even my age. But as a parent of a young child and as someone who is trying to participate in the community, I have many young siblings in their late teens and early 20s. I can see what they feel is lacking. And even my husband, who is just barely younger than me, has many different viewpoints than I do about the city. And I'm able to speak to people and take in what they see, not necessarily make it my own viewpoint, my own opinion, but just take it and look at things from their point of view. So many people think that there's just nothing to do in the city. I'm busy all the time. I always find something to do with Muskegon. But they just look at things through a different lens, that they don't want to have to look for what there is to do. They want someone to plaster it in front of them and say, this is where you want to be on Friday night or Saturday afternoon. And then they want it very clear and in their face. And so I think it's much easier for me to go out and find out what people want to do, want to know, and be more comfortable bridging that gap.
Commissioner German?
Yeah, hi. Wiskowski? Yeah,
Markowski.
Okay. Yeah, I've asked the other candidates the same question. Whereas the downtown development, you say that having young kids and the youth, and you're looking for the future. What would your future be, or what type of vision would you have for downtown development?
There are two things that I love right now. And as I mentioned when I got here, that the mall is being torn down. And so now I've been able to see downtown as it's growing and being rebuilt. And so the Children's Fountain, I think, is a wonderful idea. And it's something that it does not cost people anything when they come to downtown to utilize. It's something that people use at no cost to themselves, and also it provides entertainment. You can people watch. And so what we need is frankly more opportunity to people watch. People don't all just want to go to somewhere and then leave. And oftentimes that's what happens when you go to the mall. You go there, you go to the store, and you leave. And downtown is the place that you go to find out what a city looks like. And that's not just the stores or the things that you can buy, but it's who lives there. And so we need to encourage the people that already live here to be down there and making use of the space. And so there are many different types of people who live in the city. And so we found a spot for the young children to play, and perhaps some parents that have the opportunities during the day to bring their kids there. What are the other citizens doing, and how can we focus on them specifically to bring them to downtown? So it could be focused, generational, and citizen-specific activities for people to do that are not simply shopping. Art and other things are some of the things toward that direction.
Thank you.
Commissioner Waring?
I'm very interested in some of the things you've said, Leah, and I'm wondering if you have specific suggestions for bringing people together, particularly the young specific?
I'm going to throw out there that I thought about coming to this table last week. So I don't have with me a plan of action. What I want to do is work with the plan of action that's already here and take the gaps that I find and research them and bring those opportunities to the table. I don't have a specific item for downtown, for instance, but I will say that, kind of as I mentioned before, when you go to another city, for instance, San Antonio, my husband and I try to travel as cheaply as we can, but as often as we can. We moved to San Antonio recently, and they have a beautiful river walk. I know it's been mentioned around here a lot of times because we have access to water. There is art, there are restaurants, there's something that every level of income and ability and type of person can enjoy. You can just walk around for free, you can spend your money in any variety of places that are attributed to different incomes and so on. And that's why I mentioned that if you talk to the younger folks who might be interested in becoming entrepreneurs, we encourage entrepreneurship at very young ages, not necessarily someone who has a business degree. You will bring the people who are their surrounding networks with them. Those are the people we're going to reach out to.
Commissioner Hood? Commissioner Turnquist?
I have no questions, but it would be interesting to have a commissioner younger than Larry.
Your workplace diversity.
Ms. Markowski, do you have any questions or parting comments for the city commissioners?
Not at this time as far as questions go. In the way of comments, I just want you to realize that I may be new at a lot of things, but I'm certainly willing to do my part. And you learn by doing. And I think that you learn best when you're really immersed in something and you can give it your all. I enjoy problem solving. I attended a state court mediation training, so I feel comfortable with all different kinds of people and problems. And I don't make those problems my own. I do my best to solve the problem. So as was somewhat mentioned earlier in another candidate, when a citizen has an issue and it needs to be dealt with, I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of the problem. And while I'm empathetic and I want to be encouraging to that person, the problem needs to be solved. And sometimes it might be in a negative light, but action needs to be taken, and I certainly wouldn't shy away from that responsibility.
Well, thank you for putting yourself out there and taking that first step and giving us the opportunity to meet you and welcome you to the city of Mesquite. I hope we have very, very many more years together as neighbors.
Time to be around, one way or the other.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody want to get up and stretch? Take a deep breath. Keep going. All right.
So we're running, what, 15 minutes ahead?
Yeah, good. Mr. Dillon. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Our pleasure.
Ms. Shock, you've seen how this goes,
Yes,
so
I have.
I think we need to go through that introduction. But welcome, and I'll start out by asking you to give the City Commission some information about your background as it relates to the position of the City Commission.
Sure. I received a bachelor's degree from Western Michigan University in 2000. I studied abroad in Italy with the poet family of Ezra Pound, the late poet. And I've also received an MFA from Baroque University in Boulder, Colorado. And in addition to that, I am a big supporter and advocate of self-education. So I educate myself constantly, all the time, online. I read books constantly, informational and fictional. One of my minors at Western, and one of my longtime interests has been African American history, and just the fight of the underdog, really. One of my favorite books of all time is Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States, which shows the perspective of history from the people's perspective, rather than from the conquerors, so to speak. They say the victor writes history, and this is the other side of the story. I have been active in many ways. I've always been a volunteer. I've always been someone who steps up, and I like to keep busy. And I am a go-getter. You know, when I see a vacancy that needs to be filled, I think, why not me? And as often as I've been before the commission, I saw this opportunity to come forth and lend a hand, possibly a new vision, and get to know all of you so that I can see what it's like on the other side of the table, possibly. And that's educational, and that's one of my reasons for doing this, is to know what it might be like on the other side, so that I can work with the city, for the city, in a more effective way. As you know, I'm a member of Occupy Muskegon and the Occupy movement. And whatever you think about the Occupy movement, it's just citizens getting together to promote direct democracy amongst themselves to better their communities, in a nutshell. And that has shown that I am capable of working with an assortment of people of all kinds, working out very difficult subjects to come to a consensus and to take action of some form or another. And I think that could be a valuable asset to the commission. And I'd like to take a step forward to see what I can learn from being a commissioner to further help the city.
Mr. Hack, I think you maybe led into the next question a little bit with your first response, but tell the commission why you'd like to be a city commissioner.
Yeah, I guess I did. I had a bit of an awakening last October. I've always been interested in activism and community and the tribal kind of atmosphere. I think neighbors should know each other and depend on each other, be friends, and work together to make their communities a better place. I went off to the Occupy movement in New York City last October because I wanted to see what it was like firsthand, to witness a national movement. And what I saw there was really wonderful. People from all walks of life working together. And I wanted to bring that home. We've had a bumpy road back here in Muskegon, but our intentions are good, and it has brought forth this, it's shown me the way to insert myself into the public community's domain, how I can be. I've always read about activism, but I never knew how to insert myself. This has shown me, and I've been running wild with it ever since then. I'm passionate about it, and every day, I mean, we work every day. We have meetings, we form actions, and we have committees, and you know, it's very similar actually in many ways to the way the commission works. And I want to take it a step further, as I said, and see. I don't want Occupy to be something that would. It's something that is constantly coming in to give criticism to the city. We can also work to be partners with the city, because the ultimate goal is to make the city better for everybody. And my specific goal is to make the city better for those who are suffering the worst at this time in this hard economy.
Mr. Hack, what do you believe should be the priorities of the city of Muskegon?
Community. I believe the community should be the priority. Absolutely. I think that I praise the things the city is doing to better the city, but I also think that the city doesn't always have to find the answers itself. I think the city would be it would be a very positive move for the city to ingrain itself more in the community, which I think plays into the question Commissioner Spataro asked about how we can, regarding the playground. If we are constantly a part of and integrated into the community, and all walks of the community, not just certain sections that we're comfortable with, but all of them, from the poorest to the richest, then we are able to communicate and reach them more. We have more of an effect on them when we do reach out. But if we just dip in here and there to inform and try to pull them in, I don't think that is going to be quite as effective. They have to feel like part of the family all the time and part of the decision making. And frankly, I was shocked that only 7 people applied. And even in this economy, I would have expected many more. And that's a sign of the problem we have, that people are not willing to put a ton of effort into being interactive in their government. And how can we make that more user-friendly for the younger generation and all people who don't have a computer and can't look up things on the city's webpage. The newspaper has gone out 3 days a week, so sometimes you find out about things a little bit too last minute. And so if we can step up those things, I think that we will really begin to pull in the community more. And I think that is one of the biggest things we should focus on. I feel a very big disconnect when I speak to people about their role in the process. A lot of people just feel like government doesn't listen, or will listen and just go about their own business anyway. And if we can show people that they are integral to the process, they are important, and also one of the leading voices in innovation in the community, I think that will draw people in rather well.
How do you think we should go about accomplishing those priorities?
Well, I think it sounds silly, but just being a very social person helps a lot. One of my heroes is Adam Clayton Powell, and he is a person who found himself in office not by running elections so much, but by standing up for what he believed in, and the community around him began to get to know him because he was always everywhere in the community, and enough people eventually began to push him to consider a position as governor, and he eventually ran without campaigning. It was all through word of mouth and support from the community. They lifted him up and put him in this position, and when Congress kicked him out, people voted him right back in. And I think that's a wonderful thing, that is people being part of the process. And that's why I'm here, whether I get the appointment or not. I want to help the city, and this was just one more way for me to do it, potentially. And I will continue to do it either way.
Thank you. You touched on a couple of things, but maybe you could elaborate a little bit more about the community involvement that you participated in.
Sure. As I said, I am a member of the Occupy movement, and we keep very busy. I think that we have done some good work with the Savvy plant. Let me say I'm very much pro property rights, and as a homeowner, I do not like people telling me what to do with my property. I think a lot of people identify with that. And so, regarding Savvy, it's a hot topic, but I think that Occupy has helped bring forward confirmation that land needs to be at least addressed. People have a right to know if this is polluted or not, because they live in the area. If it wasn't a pollution factor, I'd say run wild, good luck to you, Mr. Melching. But when people's health is concerned, we have a new smoking ban for the last few years, and I see businesses jumping through hoops to accommodate that. If we're going to do all of that, dancing around to make sure that people don't breathe secondhand smoke, I don't see why we would, allow a business to come in and potentially pollute. So we've done some good work there, and we work constantly. And I know you've all seen us here, and you've probably grown a few times when we've come in. But we are here to protect the community, and I want to work with the commission to help do that better. I also volunteer weekly at the African American History Museum down in Stephen Heights, and I've been a constant volunteer my whole life. And when I see something that needs to be done, I just like to step forward and do it. And I don't have to be that person. I'm just one person saying I'm willing to do so. And I'd be happy to see any commissioner appointed who has the community's benefit foremost in their heart.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
Commissioner Turnbull?
Yeah, looking at your resume, which is impressive, you've been involved with so many things, and looking at this, you are a writer.
Yes.
And you have several publications. Is that your means of livelihood now, or are you employed somewhere?
Yes, I am. I teach composition online for Everest University. And unfortunately, writing is not a high-paying industry. I do that as a love. And, I have a novel that I've just completed that I'm going to be sending out. But I don't ever intend to rely primarily on my writing. But my online job is quite flexible, which is also a benefit to working on the commission. I keep my own hours at home whenever I like. So if something comes up, I'm able to drop that and work with the city at a pretty short notice.
Commissioner Wood?
Commissioner Ware?
Yes, I would like to ask about, I see on your summary of qualifications that you have fundraising experience.
Yes.
I would like to hear about that.
I volunteered in my grad school to be editor-in-chief of our literary journal. It's a national journal called Bombay Gym out of Europe University. And to do so, we were required to put on fundraising benefits to help pay for the next issue. So when we step into the role, we have the money from the prior issue, and we would use that to produce the journal. And in the meantime, while we're doing that, we would also hold benefits and fundraisers to bring in funds for the following issue.
Commissioner German?
So I'm going to ask you the same question now. Vision for downtown development. Do you see yourself visionary the downtown development? You were selected a commissioner. And also another question to add on to that. Have you ever written an article on the downtown?
Well, to answer your first question, if appointed, I would certainly talk to all the commissioners and the planning commission to see what ideas have been kicked around already, what have people thought about and have seen reasons to go a different path so that time is not wasted. Specifically, I think when I lived in Boulder, Colorado, which is one of the most intellectual cities in the country, and one of the most progressive cities in the country as well, they have a fabulous walking mall. And I think that something like that could really be competition for the mall, which draws people out of town. And there's so much potential. I've seen a lot of wonderful work downtown, but it's at a slow pace. And I assume that's for financial reasons, and I certainly understand that. But we need a place where people can come and flow and visit and have a variety of things to do and for free or for money. And I think a walking mall provides a lot of that. It works extremely well with the summer celebration, should that ever come back, bike time. It brings in street performers and a lively atmosphere to encourage people to come down along with the fountain, the kids' fountain and everything. And when people are down there, if you draw them down there for free fun things and family-oriented things, they're more likely to spend some time down there and make it a kind of a hangout. And if people are doing that, they are more likely to walk over and get a burger or, go into a little gift shop and possibly spend some money. We need to make a center for the town for the people who come off the ferry and all the tourists in the summertime, and a place for people to go in the winter months for all of us who live here year-round. So I think that is a rather large goal and a difficult one financially, but if the city is slowly stepping towards a direction, I think that's a healthy and sane one to do, to go with.
Have you done any writing on
Oh yes,
downtown?
and your second question, I have not done any articles on the downtown specifically, but it's certainly not off of my agenda, and since you've asked me that question, it will be a bookmark in my mind to make a point of doing so. It does need attention, and people have been clamoring for some time as to the hole downtown, and now we're starting to fill that hole in, and it looks great. But there are still some vacant lots and some places that we could really fill in to draw people downtown. I mean, the alley or the street down by the Frohenthal leading up to the statue that's been in place there, it is a perfect place to put something like that, a walking mall where people can come and congregate. And honestly, I think it would be a great idea for the city to consider finding the money to eventually move the ferry downtown, as many people in Muskegon have suggested for far too long. It just makes sense to me. And whether that can happen or not is another question, but I think it's something to look into, and I'm sure that you all have. The Mark Dot comes to mind. I'm sure folks have thought about that already. And those are the types of things I would talk to commissioners about to see what's been done, what hasn't been done, where are the holes, and where can we insert some vision in there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spataro?
You gave us a very detailed resume, and I appreciate that. My question to you is, what's the difference between activism and governance, and how do you see yourself making that transition?
I see if the governance is sincere, I see very little difference, honestly. Both are serving the people, and both should be honored, and both should be part of the process that I think every citizen should be compelled to be a part of. And if the governance is insincere, as we do see a lot, especially on the national stage, and I think part of activism is the job of citizens to point that out. And I would very much consider my role as a commissioner, if appointed, as an activist. I mean, my agenda would be to work for the community. I see that as activism work, and I know that the commission has done a lot of good, and I see that as activism. And of course, there are always things people disagree with, and that's just reality. It doesn't make you any less activist in my eyes. I commend the fact that you all serve, and I commend everyone who applied for this position. And I wish that it was more prevalent, really. So I don't see much of a distinction, really. I think they go hand in hand. Both are working for the people, or should be. There are certainly activist organizations out there that are insincere as well, and those should be held to task as well.
Mr. Hack, before we conclude, do you have any questions or final statements for the City Commission?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for your time and consideration, and I also wanted to say that I would, if appointed, be happy to sit on additional committees and boards, and I look forward to working with you whether appointed or not. So thank you for your work as well.
Thank you for your time. We'll look forward to that article about downtown development.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll make sure you see it.
Hope you do it.
Well, our next candidate up is Mr. Kevin Yak. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing good. Another lovely day out there. Sure. If you like summertime, and I love summer. Fire away, I guess.
Well, Mr. Yak, you've heard the questions to the other candidates, so I think you understand the process. So I'd like to start by asking you to provide the City Commission with some background information as it relates to the City Commission position.
Sure. Born and raised here, lived on Jefferson Street pretty much all 49 years. My father had his own business. I'm the youngest of 5 children. Well connected to the community, to the business leaders. You can't go just about anywhere without knowing somebody. And so when I was reading the paper back in 2009, I realized nobody was running against Steve Noron and Sue Rarigo. And it took me about 2 days to get my petitions filled. When I visited with Anne Marie, she come out in the driveway, and I had to decide whether to run for mayor or city commissioner. So I went to John Alexson's house. The first thing he said, if you run for mayor, you're going to lose. So I slept on it, thought about it, and ran for commissioner, and went with the step up method. Because I believe in my town, I believe in its people. I also believe that we have a chance here to integrate business and tourism, not just tourism, to make our town stronger. So my interest comes from my family, my friends, and my co-workers when it comes to the city of Muskegon directly. And I do work in Roosevelt Park. I worked at the Muskegon Harbor Hilton and the Holiday Inn in Sears and Roebuck, and service positions. I was a maintenance man at the hotel, and I was a garage man at Sears and Roebuck. A lot of years. And my dad's business was called Gordon's Service. He repaired forklifts, marine, and he did the sheriff's department's boats until Larry Pennington took over. So as a kid, I got to ride on the sheriff's department boats, and I know this town inside and out. So I'm really proud just to be sitting here tonight.
Well, Mr. Yak, the city commission would like to know why you'd like to be a city commissioner, so would you?
Well, first of all, because of the influences I've had, Kevin Davis, John Alexson, Mary Jones, Rob Schweifler. I've just been lucky to rub elbows with these folks my whole life. I took great interest at the fact when I seen nobody was running in the 2009 election for this current seat. I did run and ran runner-up to Mayor Goran and Sue Waringo and managed to get 21% of the vote. And part of it was reading in the paper that nobody was running. I could not believe it because I've known people who've run also that didn't win. And not only is it a good experience just to run, but to care enough to run about your own town. Care about the people, you know, that's what we're here for. If you can improve the quality of life, then you've done good in this world, and that's what it's all about. And I truly feel.
Thank you. Mr. Yak, what would you think are the priorities for the city of Muskegon?
Priorities. First of all, we have to redevelop. We have to provide confidence in the community. That would take an integration of new members to committees, to local government, to industry, as well as tourism. I'm a setup operator, spring maker. I work a lot of hours. My shop had told me they would help me any way I could if I was on the committee, on the commission to help. But I am a setup operator. I do a lot of troubleshooting, and I'm in a business that has survived in Muskegon, Michigan, Spring, and Stanton. It has changed hands over the years, and the people have been very successful who won't. And the reason they're successful is they're willing to make the adjustments needed on a daily basis. And we wouldn't be in business if we weren't able to do so. And I take pride in my work very strongly. I have many work references. I worked, like I said, Muskegon Harbor being developed into the Holiday Inn. And then when Sammy purchased it in 1999, I just happened to be walking through. By the end of the day, I was working there again, hooking up his plumbing, his electrical, his guest provided services, and he wanted me to start working there. Well, I offered him 2 days a week, and I did that for about 6 months just to help the hotel get going again. I also was there when the Holiday Inn reopened it. I was also there from 89, late 88, 89 to 93. So I've seen it go through all the changes, and I envision 4 or 5 hotels in my life with the new change of things going on in our community. There's room for it. And I use Milwaukee as an example because our head chef, Tom D'Angelo, moved to Muskegon, bought a house, thought this was going to be the boom town. He's back in Milwaukee running a bakery, and they are definitely a nice big city because they allow business to flow and flourish. And I'd like to see that here.
And what would you think is the best way to accomplish the priorities that
The priorities of what?
the city?
The priorities of the city are to maintain the services we have now. And you have to have more of an outreach and make a statement. And I believe if you put a new commissioner in, that's one step in the process. You're making a statement to the voters and the people. We want to build. We want to build for the future. And I believe I'm almost to the point where I'm not saying I'm too old, but I'm saying my age of experience is good, but I wouldn't be a career politician either. I would do it for the number of years I thought I could be effective. Because when I ran for office, I ran for the at-large position. And believe me, I drove, knocked on doors, got ideas, and I had a lot of input. And it was very progressive just in my life, not yet alone, wanting to get people involved, just to get them to start voting if that's the case, and just the basic things we do every day. We don't realize it as people, but we make history every day, every one of us. We make history just by getting out of bed and getting going every day. And we're making history tonight.
Mr. Yak, what type of community involvement have you participated in?
Okay, well, I have a party in the park was literally a very small party when the Hilton Hotel began asking me to go help set up for it. And I've been mistaken as a city employee down there with my green pickup truck more than once. That's how I met the guy from Andy Avenue. I can't remember his name right now, but I told him, if you don't think the sign's hung up well enough, why don't you get up here and do it? And he said, are you from the city? I said, no, I'm working for the hotel. But anyway, it was Paul Price. And me and Paul have been friends ever since. And we were doing the Epicurean Associates that night. And all we were doing was, I was sent with the responsibility of putting signs around the statue. All the restaurants were represented. The party was just building, but every week we were putting up the tables and setting up. And the city got directly involved in a big way, and that was a blessing. Because you could only get so many volunteers. So other things I've done, I've worked on the United Way Day of Caring 3 times. Marshfield, Mona Lake Park. There was a park in North Shore. We put fences up in the street. But that type of volunteer work, my brother is a Salvation Army minister. I'm telling you what, as a kid, he had me in the nursing homes, in the jail on Christmas morning, passing out presents for people who didn't have them. And I had the fortune of going to St. Michael's School 7 years, and then the public schools from 8th grade to 12th. Meaning I got to learn 2 ways of education in our own town. And there are some differences, and it's mostly pluses I'm talking about. Providing answers is a different system in the Catholic schools and the public. So personally, you can ask any of my friends if they need a hand. I get them home safe or whatever it takes. I guess I'm very personal one-on-one with my friends, family, and co-workers, and they know. And I've received more than I've ever given. It's a great time. Place.
Now it's time for questions by the city committee. Commissioner Carroll.
Yeah, a few moments ago, you made mention of a friend or acquaintance who was in Muskegon and went to Milwaukee, and you indicated that Milwaukee allows business to flow. What is it that the city of Muskegon is doing to prevent business from flowing, using that analogy, and what would you do differently to change that?
We can use a specific example of our hotel downtown. It was Muskegon Harbor Hilton. We had a 4-year management agreement. The city didn't continue that. You had MHM in there, and they were operating well, and they were putting up some good numbers. And I remember I believe the city held the bonds for the parking lot. The county held the bonds for the hotel, so you had diverse interests. In order to let it flow, I would have given them another 4-year contract. That would be one of allowing it to flourish. You had some people from every continent in the world working there as a team, and it's wonderful, and I'm still in connection with all of them. And Tom D'Angelo himself has a restaurant or a bakery in Milwaukee right now, but he was from Milwaukee originally, but he wanted to stay here. the activity levels of that hotel is like the heartbeat of our town. And when we reopened the hotel in, what year? 90, we reopened it in 91. I was the first employee called back. And we were walking the new general manager, Frank Van Eysden, through the kitchen. And he said, and they were discussing the new chef's positions and things. I walked through and I was already busy doing things. And I said, well, I hadn't known Frank as well as I know him now. But he said, well, what's going on with the hotel? I said, I can tell you one thing about this place. We were standing in the kitchen. I said, when this kitchen's busy, this hotel is busy. I said, and the kitchen is the heartbeat of this hotel. He said, I thought maintenance was, and I said, no, we're the personality. So I got him on that one. And we've been getting along ever since. But when I would pick people up from the airport, it wasn't always my job, whatever. It felt like I was representing my town, because that might be the first person that person ever met from City Mesquite. I'm going to tell you this. Many of them asked where they could get things. One of the first places I took them was Myers. And I could tell them what row to go down and where, and I'm telling you, on their way back to the hotel, I don't know how many times I got thank yous because they needed things in our town. Well, we need that in our downtown. I also envision more lodging, not just on the downtown end, but on the west end of town. I envision more lodging and more private enterprise is the only thing that's going to get our town back up and running. Because then the people will come and they'll have the confidence in the town. Because, you know what you're going to get when you go to Grand Rapids. You're going to get so many options. You come to Muskegon, people ask questions. Where do you go? Where would you like to go? And I also recommend a few good restaurants in town, but we don't have to go that far into it right now because I know every one of us knows a good restaurant in town. But as far as making our town run, we're holding the ball right now. I really would like to see some more private enterprise coming.
Okay. Kind of pretty much put a spin on what I was going to ask. And I've asked every candidate for this division, how would you vision downtown and develop? You mentioned flourishing, and you also mentioned business and also services. Do you have anything in mind? What type of services can you be kind of specific about businesses that you want to see?
When new private enterprise comes through, we almost have to put out the welcome mat rather than show them the rules and restrictions first. And I believe we're a manufacturing town still. I don't know if it's the goal of the long-term goal of the commission, but you have some very talented people in this town, and manufacturing as well as tourism are our pluses. It's something we do well in this town. And it's no longer a one person works in the household anymore. Some people carry down 2 jobs, some have 2 people working. So the service industry will benefit if we can attract some new, hotels, stores. But growing up in this town, knowing I was old enough to ride my bike downtown when it was still a downtown, that was a thrill in itself. Riding the bus with my sister downtown, that was a thrill. Going to the movies, there was upstairs bowling, a variety of things going on. And that's what we're lacking. We got vacant lots, and if I had the money, I'd put something up myself down there. I'm not kidding. Them are opportunities waiting to happen.
Commissioner Randall?
Okay.
Commissioner Lee?
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Yak. Do you have any questions or parting comment for the City Commission?
I just want everybody to please keep in mind that I was the person who did run with Steve Dorn and Sue Marion for this position. I no longer think of you as opponents. I gain a great deal of knowledge from both of you while running. And as far as the entire commission, I hope you pick somebody new to the position for the fact of you will make a statement to the voters and to the people of this town that you do want to see some new processes going through your system. That's it.
Thank you, Dennis. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Call up Mr. Hugh Callan. Good evening, sir.
As most job interviews, we start with a handshake. I'm Hugh. Pleasure. Appreciate your help today. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Okay. I'm ready. It's been 8 years since I've had a job interview, just so you know, so I'm not an expert at this.
Well, Mr. Callan, I'm Brian Mazzetti. I'm the city manager, and I'm asking the questions for the city commission so that they can listen to the answers from yourself. And so I'll start by asking you to give a brief statement of your background as it relates to the position of city commission.
I'd be glad to. I don't have any formal commission experience. I graduated in 1983 from Western down in Kalamazoo and raised my family there. I spent about 13 years in private industry there. I graduated in finance and primarily spent my years in accounting, finance, and information technology there. I also have been an entrepreneur for the last 6 years, working on the family web design business, and so that's kind of fun. You probably know I'm the pastor of a pretty small church here in town that we started 3 years ago. But I think the thing that qualifies me the most is my 9 years working for the city of Kalamazoo government. I started there about 1990. This is in the 90s, and I started in 1990 as the comptroller, which is basically it reports to the finance director in the city manager's office. I was responsible for budgeting, auditing. I was over the entire accounting department. I worked with the treasurer. I worked with assessing. I worked with public works. We received an award for our CAFR that we prepared from the Government Finance Officers Association. I was a member of that. And my point on that is I had experience with overlap with practically every city department, and in addition I was part of what they call the Double Dozen, which was the top management team for the city, so I was able to experience many aspects of city services, city finance, and what it takes to make limited resources stretch to all the different needs of the citizens and of the municipality. After about 4 years of that job, I had a young family at the time, and it was 60 hours a week and a lot of high pressure, and so I talked to the finance director, and I asked him to create a position with me called financial analyst. And the financial analyst position basically still had involvement with all the things I spoke of, except I didn't supervise 14 employees, and all the personnel issues were taken care of by somebody else, the new comptroller who I helped hire. And so for the next 5 years, I continued to be involved with the finance department, with the city, public utilities, public safety, public works, budgeting, auditing, financial reporting, until finally, after another 5 years, I decided it was time to move on, and I went back to private industry. So I'd like to think that my background with city finance, my background with city government would be very helpful, but also I bring something a little bit different to the table, which is I really don't have the history of Muskegon. Now, my wife and I have sold everything we own, and we moved to Muskegon. We're here permanently. This is our adopted hometown now, and we want to make it as successful as possible. And what I can bring, I think, to the table is a strong background in municipal government, but I don't have the history that says we have to do it that way. Now, I respect your history. Thank you. It's not like I don't respect that. I absolutely do. I think it's going to be very important. But can I bring a little bit different perspective on how other successful cities have overcome some of the same challenges that we're going to be going through with a shrinking tax base and state shared government, state shared funding shrinking, and community development block grants harder to come by? How can, over the next few years, we still satisfy the needs of the citizenry and accomplish what we need to with a smaller income base? And I've gone through that at the City of Kalamazoo, and I'd like to think I can be helpful here as well.
Mr. Callen, why would you like to be a city commissioner?
You know, I'm not a particularly political person. The whole idea of running for office really doesn't appeal to me. I'm not sure I even have time for it. But I'd really like to see this city prosper. And I think that I do bring some unique things to the table with my own personal history, my own involvement in government, which will allow me to give input to you that will allow us to all make decisions that will really bring our city forward, because there's some substantial and new challenges ahead. I mean, how are we going to bring more manufacturing in with the challenges of Michigan and so many areas seeing manufacturing going? How are we going to strengthen the manufacturers and the other commerce that we have now? I mean, to me, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but to me it's all about quality of life. I want people to enjoy their lives here. I don't want to see the young people moving away. I want them to have good jobs that pay a living wage that they can afford to live here. And I think that as the challenges come to make decisions to make that happen, I'd like to have input on that.
Mr. Callen, what do you believe should be the priorities of the city this week?
I really do think it all focuses on quality of life. I think, you know, people don't know how great it is here, really. It's like a hidden secret. You come to Muskegon. The last time I spent a lot of time in Muskegon was when I was a kid. And we drove past the paper plant and went to the beach, and it was not joyous. Okay? Honestly, that was 30 years ago. You come here now, the water's beautiful, the beaches are beautiful, the city's relatively clean, the streets are good, there is commerce. I'm not saying it's Grand Rapids, okay, but I'm saying we have a ton to offer, and I want to make sure that we encourage the things that make the quality of life terrific here. Things, to me, besides just making sure that our parks are kept clean and open to everybody, that includes things like making sure that the police force and the fire force is strong, the fire department is strong, that they have the resources they need to do their job well. I really believe in community policing. I live over on the west side, and our community police officer, when we need him, he comes over and talks to us. It's not an anonymous person on the other end of the phone. It really makes a huge difference, and I think that adds to the quality of life here. I do think that we need to have strong parks and strong public works. I think we need to have, I shouldn't say that. I think we need to continue to have parks that are attractive to people who want to come here and spend money. Have them spend money, have them increase our commerce so that we all have more money flowing between all of us. And honestly, I'm always honest, but to be frank with you, I think the Parks Department does a fantastic job. Well, I want to make sure that they have the resources they do to continue doing that. I want to make sure we're development friendly. I mentioned that a little bit. I think that we have a real challenge. You know, obviously everybody knows this was a huge manufacturing city for so many decades. Well, manufacturing is leaving Michigan. How do we make sure it stays here? How do we make sure it increases here? And I want to make it as easy as possible for manufacturers to come in to get too many rules and regulations out of the way, but I also want to make sure the environment stays clean and that, you know, if we can avoid it, we don't want to have another paper mill keeping all the tourists away. But we do want to have manufacturing that encourages jobs and gives people that opportunity for a really high quality of life.
Mr. Callen, what would you do to go about accomplishing those priorities?
You know, I guess to me a lot of it boils down to finances. We need to look at how we're allocating our finances towards the things that are going to make those things strong. Okay? Public safety is relatively obvious. I mean, thankfully we have a strong pension system here that's as funded as anybody. That's fantastic. Most cities are more in a crisis in that way than we are, so we don't have to invest too heavily there. How are we doing for our parks? How is the parks budget? If we have to cut budgets, where are we going to allocate those budget cuts? If we have small increases, are we going to allocate those things to the things that really improve our quality of life, our safety, our neighborhoods, I believe in consolidation of services and intergovernmental cooperation, if possible. I think that from what I've seen in my 3 years here, there's a lot of overlap where services could be combined, where we could gain a lot of efficiency and save a lot of money. But, this is a political issue as well. Nobody really wants to give up their turf. I think Muskegon, from what I've seen, the city of Muskegon has an awful lot to offer the townships in the outlying areas. How can we encourage that? How can this be a win-win for everybody? And I'd like to think that I'd be able to help with that as well. I believe in consensus. I believe in win-win. How can we come to that where everybody comes to the table and walks away feeling like they've all gained?
Mr. Cowan, what kinds of community involvement have you participated?
Well, I just started a church that's kind of on a micro level involvement. I shouldn't say I, but my wife and I co-pastor this church. We took a building that had been used as a piano repair studio and we refurbished it and then opened it up as a church just about 3 years ago. And that's open not just to the people of the community. We live in community, and a lot of the people who come to our church, they just walk. They're a couple blocks away. We're kind of tucked back in the Bluffton neighborhood, and we get a lot of seniors a lot of people who really didn't have the opportunity to go to church in the past. But beyond that, one of the things we've done as a church is we've started a meals program. It's not really a program, it's more of an informal thing. But what we've done is we've asked around to various people in the neighborhood, what seniors do you know that seem a little bit isolated? And what we've done is, I can't say it's a program because it's people helping people. We cook meals and we bring meals to these seniors once a week. And it's really not that they're so needy that they can't afford food. But what they enjoy is the personal interaction, that somebody's keeping track of them, somebody is touching their lives. And I really enjoy that. How can I touch somebody's life and make them know that somebody cares about them? That's a lot of what being a pastor is, and that's a lot of what being involved in the community is. Beyond that, let's see. My wife is a member of the Beechwood Bluffton Neighborhood Association. And she participates on that regularly, and it's not unusual that I have a chance to participate in the fundraising events and find out what they're up to. Or, for example, the Beechwood Bluffton Neighborhood Association has been responsible for Lighthouse Park for many years, and it's got some challenges, and it's kind of plain, and the city really doesn't have the resources to take care of it. And so my wife and I have worked with the Muskegon Conservation Corps to request a grant to naturalize that park. I don't know if you've seen the flowers along the bike trail over in Lakeside, but that's what we're looking for in this park, and it should be just beautiful and require very little maintenance. So that's something, working with the neighborhood association, working with them, working with Kathleen, who's the brains behind that operation. We've worked with the conservation district, Jeff Ock over there, to try and do that. And that's the type of thing that I enjoy doing. Now, I also, since I've been here 3 years, I helped with the crop walk, I helped with the Unity Festival. We're members of the Muskegon Chamber of Commerce. We bought doggy bag containers to put up on the beach so that we can keep our fantastic dog beach nice and clean for everybody to enjoy. I'm heavily involved in the community, and that's just since I've been in Muskegon. Throughout my history, I've had community involvement in that way. And really, I think that being a part of the commission would be an outcrop of that. It would allow me to participate on a bigger level. Right now, my focus has primarily been the little community around our church, the little community around where we live. And I think as an at-large commissioner, my door is always going to be open to everybody. Come on in wherever you are. And I really don't, the role of the commissioners, now you may see it differently, and I welcome that difference, but I really don't see it as a job of being a super big problem solver. What I see is connecting citizens that have issues with the right parts of the city government where those issues can be taken care of. Go through the city manager, get to know the department heads, find out what the needs are, find out who's there to meet them, and put those people together.
Thank you. Now it's time for the city commissioners to ask questions that you may. Commissioner Turnquist?
Just looking at your resume, you came here in 2006?
2009.
2009?
Yeah.
Okay. And prior to that, you were with the Landscape Forum Incorporated, you did business forums and things like that.
It's kind of a summarized resume, and I appreciate that. If you want to know about that, I left the city government in about sometime during the year 2000, and I joined Landscape Forums. What Landscape Forums does is they manufacture and sell. When I left there in 2006, it was about $50 million a year of park furniture. And we have it all over the city here. It's designer-focused park furniture. And my responsibilities there was I was the information systems manager / analyst for the business systems there. And there was somebody different who did the manufacturing systems. I left there and jumped into another short-term job where I never hit my quota as a staffing person, placing C-level executives in short-term positions. But it was also 2006, 2007, and the economy was really bad at that time, so it was tough to find $90 an hour temporary jobs for people, frankly. And at that time, my wife's web design business was booming, and she and I thought, well, you know what, why don't we just see if we can't make a go of this as our family business. And so I took over the administrative aspects. I had a chance to reach out to people that sell websites, but really it's more like figuring out what people need and whether we're the right company to do that, while my art major creative wife actually creates those websites. And after doing that for a couple of years, we realized, and we'd always felt like we wanted to be pastors. I don't know why. It's just we felt like that was what we were supposed to do. And so we realized as web designers, we can do that anywhere as long as there's internet. I mean, we don't need a fancy office. And we have clients from all over the country who will Google, premium web designer or something to find us, call us up, see our portfolio, and choose to go with us. And so we kind of thought with our youngest child about to enter Western, he's just finished his third year now, why don't we see if we can make this church thing work? And so we put together a church corporation, we finished our ordinations, and we began driving along Lake Michigan where we wanted to live, starting in New Buffalo, and driving to see every little church building that was for sale all the way along the coast of Lake Michigan, right up through Mackinac City and even down a little further. And the one building we saw that just had that kind of classic white steeple appeal to us and frankly was affordable was right here in Muskegon. We didn't even know that much about Muskegon, but we just felt like this was the thing to do. And so the church corporation bought the building, we sold everything we owned, and here we live, down near the channel, loving life here in Muskegon. And so how can I be of service here? How can I help? Can I help on the commission? I mean, I didn't listen to the other people and their interviews, but I do think I have some really strong background and a willingness to help and a desire to serve. And when the elections come in a couple of years, I'm not positive that I'm really long-term interested in doing that. Let's just see how it goes. I can't make any promises about that, but I will work hard when I'm here with the cooperation of everybody together in mind, building a consensus and helping the citizens to achieve a high quality of life.
Commissioner Hood? Commissioner Maryville?
Tell me about the pastorate of your church. You said you went to seminary or something. I didn't hear that. Tell me about that.
My wife and I co-pastor. We believe in. We feel it's silly for women to have second-class roles in the church when they don't anywhere else in society. Hello, this is the 21st century, and it's really kind of a small church. It's relatively simple. I do most of the teaching because I'm not talented in terms of music. She leads the worship. And then we have anywhere between 20 and 50 people who come on Sunday. Many of them consider themselves members of the church. We get involved in their lives with, I talked about bringing meals. Most of the meals we bring aren't for people in the church. They're just for people in the community, but visiting the sick and just being there for people. Just helping people have a place that they can call their church family is really important.
So I gather that you are not ordained.
I'm ordained through our church board. I did not go to seminary.
Your church board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Sherman?
Yes, excuse me. Same question with the downtown development. Where do you see, or do you have a vision for downtown where you would like to see downtown just flourishing and developing, what sense of development would you envision? I noticed you have a background in technology, and I think you said something about manufacturing also. So using those bases, what do you see, what could you bring to the table with ideas?
Here's the biggest challenge I see downtown as a kind of an outsider's view. It's missing, okay? I mean, I understand the history. It was a kind of a flourishing downtown. It got turned into a mall, and then that kind of went downhill a little bit, and so there was a new plan to develop, and we kind of knocked down the old mall, and now the development funds have kind of dried up as our whole country's gone through this sad last 8 or 10 years. I'd like to see commerce come downtown, whether that would be retail. You know, I'm not completely convinced that these metal boxes are going to make a beautiful mall, but I'm open for suggestions on that. What can we do to encourage commerce, and then along with that, people to come downtown? We've got a little bit of a chicken and the egg challenge that we had down in Kalamazoo as well. The challenge is we need customers downtown, but you need stores before you can have customers. Stores aren't going to go until you get customers. So we need to work with the Chamber of Commerce. We need to work with the entrepreneurs who maybe have places in other parts of town who could open up branches downtown. We need to have fun places to eat. We need to have fun places to go. And that's kind of what happened in downtown Kalamazoo, is they opened it up and they turned it into an outdoor mall that has a lot of little, besides just the banks and the standard stuff, they have little craft shops and little restaurants. It's just really fun. We have some of that here, but I think we need to improve on that quite a lot. As far as manufacturing goes, and this doesn't directly address downtown, but I think it's important, we have so many available manufacturing facilities right now. How can we encourage manufacturers to come or to expand? I think there's tax incentives we can offer, but what I don't want to do is give away the store. You know, you give away a 12-year tax break, and all of a sudden, well, hopefully at least we can have some employment. I'm absolutely open to proposals that Muskegon First might bring in, the contacts that they might make. I'm open to different manufacturers coming to us and saying what they would do, and I'd love to be one of the people that reaches out to manufacturers in terms of coming in or expanding.
Thank you.
Regis Pataro.
Yeah, you made mention of Consensus Building. Can you give me an example of a circumstance where you had intense conflict where you were able to build consensus?
Every organization has limited resources. And I think that in addition to political challenges, there's the challenges of we've got a limited pot to go around and everybody needs to get their job done. I think that's true in city departments. I think it's true as the neighborhood associations want to get their work done. And so I think that a lot of times it revolves around that. Generally speaking, I think that we work with a rational public. I think as commissioners or as a management team, we are rational people, and part of the challenge is just to get people to understand what the situation is, and everybody's got to play nice in the sandbox. We had a situation where, as an IT manager for Landscape Forms, we were bringing in a new finance system. It was a huge new system, multi-million-dollar system. And the challenge was everybody had their own piece of the pie, and this might be kind of a micro explanation, but it was really, really big at the time. Hope it doesn't sound too geeky. There's only so many customizations you can do to a multi-million-dollar system before it stops being effective for everybody. And the challenge was to see that each department had to compromise in terms of what they could get out of the system and still get their jobs done. And so what I asked everybody to do was prioritize their most important features of this system, that they were the must-have, the like-to-have, and the maybe could let go. And then we got together and compromised and decided which are the priorities of these that we all agree on have to get done. And it was successful. It was a very successful implementation. It's still being used to this day. Thank you.
Mr. Callen, do you have any questions or final statements to the commission that you'd like to make?
wasn't here for the other interviews. I'm not positive I'm the right man for the job. But I tell you what, if you would ask me to serve here for the next year and a half, I'll work hard. I'll be honest with integrity. I'll work together with each of you. I'll have an open door to every citizen. I'm not going to walk on and step on people's hands in the city, but I'll try and direct people to what they need. And I'll also bring in my expertise in municipal finance, municipal government. So hopefully, because of that, I'll have a jump on what you need when it's time to do budget work and things like that. I think I do bring a lot to the table. I desire to help, and I hope that you'll choose me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to see you, James. Okay. Commissioners, we've heard the candidates. Commissioners, you want the top three candidates came in number one as in the selection or your choices. One was Leah Markowski, followed by former Commissioner Chris Carter, and third was Mr. Hugh Cal. So that's third was Mr. Callan's fourth. He's fourth. I'm sorry.
Who's third then?
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Callan is third. Former Commissioner Larson came in number fourth.
Larson.
Yep. Kevin Yeck and Mr. Hawk came in tied at second.
Second. Fifth.
Or fifth, I mean, yes.
Oh,
I was looking at it too.
Yeck and who?
I didn't go beyond geometry with Sister Claudette. And sixth was Ms. Clark. So there's a starting point with our top three. Leah Markowski was clear